TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Was there someone you saw or interviewed come in and that you thought would be a big star that didn't make it, or even vice versa? Someone that you interviewed that said would never make it and became a big star?
That's a very good question. I'm sure you spent a lot of time with that to drive me nuts. I think I had some second thoughts about a lot of people, but gosh, I mean, I've seen people come in. You say, this guy, fat chance he's going to do anything, and the next thing, he's Shawn Michaels, he's Bret Hart.
Right.
I always thought the smaller guys had a little less chance of making it. Bret initially was not a great talker. He could communicate, but he stumbled around a little bit. And I think that he was very nervous, too, about what he was doing. Shawn Michaels probably tried to do too much initially, but I'm very close to Shawn Michaels today. I like Shawn Michaels. I missed him in the AWA, but I sure caught up with him in the WWE. And at one time, we even thought we could get him down to WCW. But he had a lot of loyalty to Vince.
Right.
But on the other hand, Vince also was very loyal to Shawn Michaels.
It's one of the interviews you did on the internet with Bret with El Dandy. What are your memories of that? Do you remember that one? Or
I do recall that. Is this the one where Bret kind of vented his spleen?
yes.
Here again, too much information.
Right.
Yeah. Back to Eric, just for a second.
Sure.
Now that Eric and myself aren't working together, or I'm not working for him, he and I have had some pretty good conversations. He can be likable, and I think that his tenure here in the WWE, I think he did a great job for the company. I don't think a lot of people would argue with the fact, as the general manager, he had credibility, and he certainly could play the part of a heel without too much work.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Huh. What are your thoughts on the whole Montreal situation? Do you think Bret handled that right and Vince handled that right?
Well, I think Bret should have been professional. He let his ego get in the way. Who was right, who was wrong? It's water over the dam, under the bridge, down the road. And the one thing I will say that surprised me, it sure made for a lot of conversation amongst fans. The internet was buzzing. The dirt sheets were loaded. And did Bret Hart really get effed? They call it the Montreal Screwjob. Maybe it was. Shawn Michaels know anything about it? Maybe he didn't. You'd say he had to, but it was Hebner that put the 3 count down, and the shoulder was clearly up. But Bret has to understand, you got to do business.
Were you surprised to see Bret Hart return?
I don't quite understand if he has returned, though.
Right.
I mean, he's been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Bret was at the Hall of Fame was very aloof to me. And I've been very close to him because I've been close to his father. My son played in the Olympics up in Calgary in 1988, and thank God for Stu and Helen Hart. They put us up. My family came up there. I got a chance to see my kid play in the Olympics. I loved him. I love Bret. Few of the other guys, Neidhart, a little on the strange side.
I'll tell you stories later.
Could be a little off the wall. I can tell you stories. I know you can tell. We'll exchange them.
You probably have a million.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts of being inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Great honor. Never thought it would happen. Why would an announcer go into the Hall of Fame? And being the first announcer. We all know that, probably some of these decisions are made by the office, but I considered it a great honor. And then after the show, Vince said, well, you gave him a punchline.
Huh.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you surprised guys like Hogan and Flair who have been around this long are still on top and still actually working in the ring?
That doesn't surprise me. Those guys, back in the old days, they probably wouldn't have let them work to that age.
Right.
But, God, you take a look at Hogan, you take a look at Flair, and they can outwork some of the younger guys. So, you know, Babe Ruth, take a look at him. He drank every night, would pitch.
Ate 12 hot dogs between double headers.
Yeah, exactly. Smoked a carton of cigarettes a day.
All right. How did things change as far as production is compared to when you were last in WWE?
I think things they pre-package a lot. They don't do stand-up interviews. When I left here, we were doing stand-up interviews. And in that respect, it changed. It's very controlled. Back in the old days, there were so many things that were done by accident that were great. That today, it seems a little forced. But Lord knows it's working, and there's more product out there today than they've ever had.
I guess if you were working at independent today, and you were the same age as you were when AWA got started, do you think you would get a shot in the WWE?
Yeah. I mean, I think the door is open, even though they're not looking for a Gene Okerlund anymore.
Right.
I think they're looking for a little different nondescript character. But I mean, you've got the JR. He's here. Jerry Lawler's here. Michael Cole and Taz have been here. Joey Styles is over on the ECW side. I mean, so there's still some announcers with a personality.
What's going on right now outside of the wrestling world for you? Talk about your business, Mean Gene Burgers.
Well, I had a long-term arrangement with a company called Orion Food Systems, but they were owned by a company called Schwann's Enterprises. I'm sure you've seen the trucks that go around and deliver. Big company, $5 billion company. And then they were sold to Kohlberg, the son of the KKR guy.
Right.
He subsequently sold it to Allied Capital and a management buyout group. So before the last time, I did a new contract with them and said, if this company is ever sold again, I have the right to terminate my contract. Not for cause. I just have a right, point blank, to terminate. On March the 8th of this year, I terminated that contract. And what I'm now doing, guys, is very simple. I'm trying to put together the same kind of a framework and do it on my own. All this at 63 years old, which most people would say, what the hell, are you nuts? At 63,
right.
You want to go out and start another business endeavor? Yeah, I do. You're damn right.
TitleMatchNetwork.com